All right, we're going to get started. There might be some more people coming in later because some of the other groups, as I mentioned, are running a little over, so we'll deal with that as it happens. The final presentation, this man stands between you and a well-stocked bar that is going to be outside around the pool. We're going to hear basically about how content is not only relevant, obviously, for marketers and so on and so forth, but it's equally important also for content distribution systems. And the most important and most well-known content distribution system is obviously television, because that is the true mass media that everybody grew up with. A lot of people seem to think that television is dead, television is gone, television is history, television is for dinosaurs. But actually, most television networks around the world have completely reinvented themselves. And here to talk about how that has happened at TV Azteca is Emilio Aliaga, who's VP Digital of TV Azteca.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for taking the time to come and see what we have to say. As Martin was saying, there's a lot of it going on, that TV is dead, that live TV, doesn't exist anymore. Broadcast TV, it's at the end of it. There's a lot of challenges, yes. But one of the things that we've been doing, and I don't know if many of you know about TV Azteca. TV Azteca is the second largest broadcast company in Mexico, which has 4 different broadcast networks. It has a small cable company, but it's part of a big group which is over 120,000 employees, more into technology, cable, and so on. But one of the things that we are doing in TV Azteca is developing and evolving television. And this is something that happened. This is a case study of something that we did this year. We just finished this show probably a month ago, 3 weeks ago, which is called La Academia. And La Academia is a show very similar to American Idol. You go, you do castings, you take participants. And this one started in 2002. And we did it for 11 seasons. So imagine at the end of that, it was a very tired format. And the way that people would vote would be through landlines. And the main thing was to try and find a Mexican Idol, someone that comes, and La Academia means the academy, so it became like a school. So they would come and try and they would teach them and form them. At that time, the last season was in 2012. And when that one happened, we had a web version, a social media, but it was just in 2012. If you see what has happened in the past 8 years, it has evolved a lot. But at that moment, it was very, and we had probably 300,000, 400,000 followers among all of our properties. And then we had, we're starting with YouTube, trying to get some things going, and it was not much. But at that moment, we thought that we were doing a great and amazing job. Now, we thought about making it much more interactive. We had to see how we would revamp this show. How do we make it more interesting? How do we engage people and users? And one of the things that we did is that we incorporated the interactivity part of it, which was a key section to it. And we developed a new app, which is called TV Azteca Conecta. And I will tell you a bit more about that in a second. And one of the important things that we had here was that we started saying, okay, well, this show, it's a weekly show, but this show needs to live on a 24-hour basis. It needs to live 7 days a week. It needs to go and have a pre-show, and then we need to make users interact with it, feel part of it. And we develop a digital room, and I will talk about the different features that we develop with it. So one of the main things, since the moment that we did the castings, we started doing all the castings. We broadcast the castings live on our different properties. 10% of all the applications for the show came through digital. And you would be able to see exactly how it happened. So it was like, oh, you know, they see this one and they see this other participant. It was just the truth of what was happening. We developed a pre-show, so 15 minutes before that, you would be able to see digitally on Facebook, on our properties, on YouTube, all across platforms, you know, trying to hit it up and trying to bring people into the TV. And you could stay and watch the show on any platform that you were there. And it became very successful. But at the same time, if you were watching the broadcast live on one of our devices, you know, you would have, at the commercial time, you would have 1 minute that was specific digital commercials. And then it would have like a break where you would be seeing what was happening on that digital room right backstage. If someone had just sang, you would have that person right there having the instant reaction. And if you didn't have it, if you were watching it on TV, you know, that's why the app was there to do all of this interaction into it. And then after that, we had a post-show, which was the equivalent of, you know, Talking Dead with Walking Dead. So this was a post-show for La Academia. And that's exactly what we accomplished there. At the beginning, it was very difficult to try and get the talent and the judges to come into the backstage and to participate into any of our digital initiatives. That was that's really what happened in the first or second show. After that, they would rather be on the digital set rather than on the post show on TV, because they saw the numbers and they saw all the potential. And when their daughters or sons came back and said, listen, you know, we saw you, and why weren't you there at the post show? And what they were taking, what the news media was talking about was what was happening off stage, you know, not really on TV. So one of the things that we did, just in 14 weeks, which was the time for the show, we downloaded over 770,000 apps, over 770,000 downloads organically. We didn't spend 1 penny in marketing. It was just organic. And one of the reasons why we were able to do that was that we made it a purpose. We put them to come and gave them a reason to use it. And one of those reasons to use it was that we came up with the concept of saying, you, the audience, are the fifth judge. So we had 4 very well-known judges in Mexico. But then the audience became the fifth judge. They were the ones who decided, and at the same time, after they went through the 4th of them, we would ask them and we would put them to say, listen, you know, what did you think about the performance? Did you think? But the way that we were putting it, it's not like, okay, I liked it, didn't like it, it was okay. But you know, we play with the features and started personalizing it according to any of the users, and then it was like, okay, it was, how was it? And you know, one of the options was, I stood up and went to fix up a sandwich, you know, or there's a cat screaming, you know, was it the TV or it was my cat? You know, trying to make it, and then the host of the show would go and they would send him and say, the fifth judge, this is what they thought about you. And the people became part of the show, and we were able to make them be part of it. One of the important things that you were able to do before, you would do landlines and call and send SMSs, and then we went through the process of hashtags for voting and so on. Now we just said we're going to go 100% digital. So you would come, and we had over 44 million votes just in the app, just digitally. And one of the other things that we did was that in order to engage our users, we gave them a chance to come back every single day to vote. So you would be able to vote once, divide over 40 votes, or 10 votes each time, and you can spread them around, you can share them, you know, between different participants. But we would give you a chance for you to come every single day to do it. And that's how we went. And then we gave them the set lists. You know, you were able to go and say, okay, I want to go and see what happened on the first show. What did they sing on the second, third, fourth? And we had to go through a process of rights liberation and talking to record labels and trying to do. But at the end of it, we gave them a purpose, and they would come and use it on a daily basis. Now, this is an academy, so they live in the house and they went to school, and we give them a 24 hours by 7 broadcast in all our platforms. And people would come on a daily basis to come and follow them. We had over 630,000 comments, not views, comments. People would go and engage through the week trying to get them. So by the time that we got to the weekend, everybody was there. And you will be able to see one very important thing that happened here is that I don't know if you've seen metrics of average time spent in these kind of interactive apps, and they hardly make it through minutes. We were able to get them for 22 minutes, the average session, which means that they would go and spend time with us, and through the show, they would be part of it. Sometimes this time spent was larger than what they spend on TV, And another very important thing that we did was that we started, picking up, if you wanted to vote, you would have to register and subscribe. And we started getting, and we had over 300 and something. At the end, we got like 500,000 registered users, and we cleaned them up because that's part of the personalization strategy that we have in Azteca. So we're building up a relationship with our users, and we continue to do that. But for you to know how relevant these numbers that I'm telling you are, if you go through Comscore, you would go and see that in media and in TV and entertainment apps, according to Comscore, the top player had 993,000 and HBO Go had 384,000. Just on the final, just on the big finale, we had over 480,000 people using it. So that would have made it the second most relevant app in TV and entertainment in Mexico. And for TV Azteca, that would have given us in the top 4, 2 of them. And that's how we continue to engage and bring our users closer to us. But one very important thing that we did was we had to go and make them part of the show as we're doing it interactively, and we did it socially. And when you grow, and most of you know, it's not easy to grow your community sometimes, without a purpose. We started with 350,000 users altogether, or fans, because La Academia was stopped. The last time we did it was in 2012. So by then, to have 300,000, that was not a bad number altogether. But in today's numbers, it was very low. We were able to gather more than 1.5 million users in Mexico, organically, not one penny spent into buying anyone. And that gave us that interaction that we wanted to do with them and how we communicate with them on a daily basis. And we dominated the conversation. Since we started in show 1, we were trending topic in Mexico and globally. In week 2, we did it again. In week 3, we did it again. And we were starting to fight against or compete against the series Luis Miguel, the series that many of you must have seen on Netflix, and it drew a big, big conversation. On week 4, we did it again. Sometimes we were able to be number 1 globally at the time when, when some markets are asleep and some markets are open. But it's a big challenge, and try to do it on a Sunday night. It's not an easy task. And then in the 5th week, number 2 globally. And then we started to fight against then we fought against the NFL when the NFL came out, and we were able to beat the Dallas Cowboys, which are like a national team in Mexico, and it's very, very well known. And then, we continued to do it, and week after week. Here, we were the only ones in Romanji you know, and we were able to do it week after week after week. And then when we got to the final, we were not only a trending topic since the beginning of the show nationally in Mexico, and not only internationally, but on the top charts, in the top 10, we had 5 hashtags. So we were able not only to develop our brand, but we were able to develop our talent and the newcomers. All our participants, 4 of them, made it to the top and trending topic. That led us to all the other communication and content created by our users. And this is a video of how the show was and how it looked like. Please enjoy.
La Academia was broadcast for the first time in 2002. 16 years later, we found a way to renew it. Audience became part of the live show. People were now the fifth judge, so their votes on the side on the app were decisive for the permanence of the contenders.
El público, el quinto juez, usted tiene el boleto.
We obtained 28.2 million website visits and more than 775,000 app downloads, where more than 80% were active users. Although the program only aired 1 day a week, the audience could watch it live 24/7, interacting with exclusive content, making a Sunday program a daily experience. In addition, during the gala, we had exclusive pre- and after-show stream in our app and website. We transmitted the first impressions of the contenders, teachers, and judges. This resulted in 10.7 million interactions, 79.5 million views, 103.2 million page views, and a maximum use rate of 22 minutes in the app. Audience response was overwhelming. Every weekend we occupied the first places of national and global trending topic, and only in the grand finale we received more than 12 million votes, for a total of almost 45 million votes in 3 months. This is how La Academia focused on improving the talent of its contenders, while the audience decided who will be Mexico's new superstar.
So the whole purpose of it was, how do we freshen up a show? That it's a talent show the way that they have been there for many years. And the way that we were able to achieve it with great success was making our users part of the story, putting them inside the show. And if many of you, if there is a publisher here, you know, they would know how difficult sometimes it is to draw traffic into your own properties when they are in social media and they are in YouTube. And today we take them as part of the ecosystem, all of them together. But we were able to bring the traffic into our own properties. For one show, just for one show, we had over 10 million video views just on our properties. In my previous lives, I worked for network companies, broadcast companies here in the United States and in Mexico. And to try and get at least 5 million for one show, it was very, very complicated. So today, once you create enough inventory for you to deliver, the opportunities are great commercially, which is one of the things that we broke all records. But the most important part is that you get to interact with your users live and know exactly what they're thinking, create a database, create that personalization strategy, which in the future and the next coming things that we're working on, it's to provide specialized recommendation content, specialized promos, specialized advertising, focusing in each and every one of the users. And the most important thing is that TV, this show was 70% up against the previous show on the same slot. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. So, how to breathe life into a dinosaur, right? That's kind of what you did. I saw that in some of those online feeds and whatever else, there was, I think, sponsorship from a bank.
Yes.
So how did you commercialize all these other platforms? Was that a separate buy or was it a package buy? How did you do that?
This is an interesting point. One of the goals that we have in TV Azteca, of course, it's a commercial side, and everybody speaks about digital and how important it is, and if it's bringing a lot of money or if it's not bringing a lot of money. To us, in this kind of shows, we sell at least between 10 to 20% digitally what we sold on TV. And the challenge is to deliver it, and here we outperformed. So yes, we do a lot of direct sales and a lot of bundles between TV and digital. That's what makes us different. That's what makes us apart from just a digital environment. And we've been able to go around 20% in these top shows of what was sold on TV directly on digital.
It's also very labor intensive, I would imagine, to do all of that stuff, right? How do you sort of balance between once a week throwing out a big TV show and creating all that content prior and after and during and all that kind of stuff?
We have a digital team, and this team works 7 days a week. Well, 5 days a week, and then you spread them apart.
Right.
So that's not a problem. Okay. You know, it becomes one of the top and prime properties, and everybody around the entertainment or the reality division works around it. So that's not a big issue.
Okay.
You know.
Cool. Anybody else have a question about how do you become a candidate in La Academia, or how do you win it, or anything else that you might want to know? Yes.
Hola, disculpa que llegó un poquito tarde, quizás lo hablaste ya. Quería saber si que tenía alguna métrica de cómo ven tu sitio principalmente, de mobile con desktop, porque es como programa de televisión, eso. ¿Tiene alguna...?
Es una buena pregunta. El mundo va 70-75% mobile, 20-25% desktop, pero tú te sorprenderías de ver el número de personas que ven el programa en vivo en su desktop. O sea, nosotros teníamos alrededor de 250,000 a 300,000 personas viéndolo desde su desktop y viendo el show completo entre las diferentes plataformas, alrededor de 550, 600,000. ¿No?
O sea, sí puedes confirmar de que la gente está como dejando un poco las televisiones tradicionales y ocupando hasta su...
Sí, se complementan. Sí, se complementan. Porque la televisión tuvo sus niveles más altos de lo que habíamos tenido en los últimos años. Lo que sí es que cuando tú sumas las diferentes audiencias ya que tienes, le das esa relevancia a la televisión. ¿No?
No, muchas gracias.
Con mucho gusto.
Very good. Anybody else? I have one final question for you.
Sure.
Did you see a difference in audience of the consumption of all the other channels versus the consumption of the TV channel, or was it one homogeneous kind of? Did the audience travel across all the different sort of channels and devices, or was there differences in that?
One of the things that we saw was that, yes, we had a certain amount of people that would just watch digitally, but most of it, or most important, is that a lot of people traveled with it. We would see a lot of them going to TV, and then when they missed it on TV or were not in front of a TV, they were still part of the show, you know, somewhere else. And we saw that we sometimes had the guy watching on their laptop and playing and interacting with the app on their mobile phone, you know. And then we would see a lot of people coming in and out on the app, on the live streaming, going back into voting or into participating and then coming back to it. So it really becomes a complement. But the most important part is to make them think and feel that they are part of the audience, you know, that their vote, their voice counts. If you make them part of the show, that's a very loyal place to be. No?
Awesome. All right. Thank you very much, Emilio.
Thank you very
Great
much.
story.
Thank
Thank
you.
you very much for today.